Thank you.
Welcome to the Podblast.
I won't. It's not shaken up. Don't worry.
Currently,
I know
is being chastised by Al.
I know
about
that.
opening up a bottle of champagne.
Al's afraid he's going to squirt all over the studio.
So, Danny, do you want to chime in on what Al's doing over there by you, Al? Right now, it looks like he's battling the aluminum foil.
Chance is getting ready to squirt all
Is the
over.
video up?
Yes, he is. And the stuff is going to go over stuff, and
No,
Al will probably pull out a knife and shiv him to death.
Well, that will save Samantha the effort.
Oh, you can't say that.
Don't say that.
So anyway, this is fun because Frankenstein Monster wants to get in there and help him with the bottle.
I'll open it when we're live recording the Podblast. Hey, everybody in Facebook land, we're about to launch our Podblast about classic toys you remember throughout all time. So feel free to call in. The phone number is right there, 404-944-0239 once we get rolling. We're going to have a special guest, an actual professional toy grader, talk about some rare toys.
I am the Pope. Hello, everybody. I am the Pope. I'm from, where am I from, Hala?
The Vatican.
Hala. Where am I from, Hala?
I was not talking.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, and I'm going to battle the Frankenstein monster right now. Hey, Frankenstein monster. How you doing?
Hello, Pope.
Oh, good. Hey, Jim Niarchos.
Pope Fred.
Are we ready to start?
I am with the Pope. Okay.
I am the Frankenstein. With an Italian accent.
I'm sorry. Well, I'm sorry. Well, I'll buy you another one. My God.
Won't he miraculously heal?
Yeah.
Possibly.
I got it aimed.
Don't let him aim a chance. Chance.
Yeah, very good.
Here's the problem. Chance has got the Pope looking at him, and he's also got Don Imus looking at him.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got a dead guy and a real old guy looking at him. And just power of the Pope.
Yeah. Pope.
Let's don't even talk about that. We'll talk about it later in the show.
That's true.
Are we ready for our special guest, Mr. Jim Gossett's voice introduction?
Do you have to intro every little thing?
Yeah, you don't have
Can't you
to-
just be
Yeah,
quiet?
it can be spontaneous.
It can be spontaneous. Do you have to say anything?
spontaneity. Poor Chance. He's got to stand up the whole show.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what you could do?
I'm just making sure Al's awake.
You
That's
could
all.
crisscross applesauce on the floor and take the mic with you. I wouldn't sit on the floor, though.
I'm ready to pop this bubbly. Let's roll.
So we're
All right, so here we
Yeah,
go.
we're starting.
Here we go.
Are we going to go with the intro and like
No. That's
No.
we've done that too much. Maybe next time.
Tilt your mic up a little bit.
Let's turn the air.
Sure.
Unfortunately, turn the air conditioner off.
Okay.
Good idea.
Podblast.
It's off.
Yeah.
Oh, the hum went away.
And flip on that like for the Facebook Live video.
No,
We're
it's
gonna
fine.
visual aids.
See it?
See,
They gotta try it.
you can't see. That's the thing. You think you can, but you can't.
Audience is listening.
Here you go. Look. Now we can,
Oh, wow. It wasn't me. I didn't do it. It was Chance.
We brought some
Wow.
cool toys.
What?
now it's too bright.
We got some cool toys to show you in a minute.
We need to get up.
Did you get
Ready, Al?
Well,
I'll tell you what we need to do.
what?
We need to start. It's 3:15.
It's 3:15 Eastern time.
All right, here we go, everybody. Enjoy the Pod Blast before it's actually.
Oh,
Post-
who am I?
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Oh, here it comes.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody quiet.
All right.
Hello, who am I?
Charlton Heston.
Oh, I thought you were Charlton Heston.
No.
You're watching the nostalgic.
No, they're listening.
They're listening to the,
Yes. Nostalgic.
but the camera's pointed at me, you idiot. What do you mean they're listening? Okay, of course. You've got audio and
crazy.
video going at the same time.
Oh, that Jim Gossett, I tell you. Yeah.
He's a funny guy.
Yeah, buddy. Our good buddy Jim Gossett, who was on our last Pod Blast. Dan, you weren't here for that, but did you hear this? Did you hear the show?
I've not had the chance to hear the show
Well,
yet.
then kill his mic out. He can no longer be part of the show.
Oh, no.
That was our best pod blast
I'm
to
being
date.
banished
With
from
the great Jim
Podblast.
Gossett, newsmakerline.com. Get your tickets today. He's all over the country, but primarily based in Atlanta on 2 radio programs in Atlanta.
Yes, 1100 a.m.
1100
on
a.m.
the radio dial.
Yep, and he's on the Kimmer Show podcast.
Yes, and the camera charges. It's only $6.98 to that's the price to.
$6.99.
Well, that's what the camera charges. you to
$5.99
listen
a
to.
month. It's $5.99 a month for that. But Al, let's reveal.
We are free.
let's
Yeah,
reveal.
we don't cost.
We
nothing.
are free. We don't
It
charge
doesn't
anything.
cost us nothing, and because we have people like the Frankenstein
Frankenstein.
monster here, and Daniel's here. You haven't said who's.
I was about to, but you go ahead and have
Well,
it.
no.
Danny is back,
Well,
I
ladies
was
and
waiting
gentlemen.
for my introduction.
Danny Cochran.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I am Danny Cochran, your resident comic book expert for all your misinformation and faulty facts.
Well, self-proclaimed radio a comic book guy.
no,
right?
Chance did that. He
Oh,
gave me that moniker.
He did. Oh, wait a
Comic
minute.
book
Who
expert.
the hell is Chance to do? Al.
Yes, yes.
Well, that makes me and Al the gurus of radio.
That's right.
And Mr. Hardy, we have a little song to tip off our
Well,
audience as to what we will discuss today.
Audience. Explain that. Wait. Before. Here it comes. Wait for it.
Toyland.
I like Como better.
Toyland. Little girl.
Gee.
And boy.
I wonder what we're talking about.
Thanks for ruining the clip,
I
Tom.
wonder what we're talking
That's
about.
McLean
I didn't ruin
Stevenson
the clip. I made the clip better.
singing the
I
song.
thought it was
but we're
Andy
going to talk
Williams.
about
Well-
classic and collectible toys.
That's true. Como did a better job of that. Song.
That's true. He did.
He really did. He really did. He did a much better job of that. And that's why Danny's here, because he can talk about all the fabulous action figures and things of the past that you grew up with and played with and manipulated as a child in the privacy of your
Don't take this in a weird direction, Tom.
I'm not. It's just
No,
it's
we're not
just,
talking about toy
I mean,
manipulation.
let's face it. I mean,
people.
when you got big giant action figures like that, you want to know what you got on there underneath that. That's what people are thinking about.
Chance.
Oh, I'm sorry. Chance needs to say something. Go
Before
ahead,
we
Chance.
get rolling on toys, I
Wait,
wanted to mention.
I'm going to interrupt Chance.
You know-
because he likes to interrupt me, so I'm going to interrupt him.
Okay, you need the
I'm
conch.
sorry.
You need the
I need
conch.
the conch. I'm sorry, Chance. Go ahead.
All right, something.
So
came and
anyway,
went.
I wanted to say. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You need the conch.
Go ahead, Chance.
Here, Chance. Chance.
Wait. Before Chance speaks, we had to give Chance a spit. What's it called, Al? A spit filter or something in front of his mic.
Yes.
Because he tends to get a little too close to the microphones.
That he does.
Chance,
This is
point
true.
to it so people can see it. See, so there it is. So that way he won't over-modulate like he did on the last.
Is that a kind of toy? A spit filter?
Yes, it's a toy.
I never got one of those.
It's a toy.
Mom, Dad, I'm so upset. I never got a
You
spit
never played
filter.
radio when you were younger?
Now, what I'm
Well,
holding,
I did, but it involved a
holding up-
girl and different story for another time.
He's holding up something.
holding up some champagne because what came and went was our 6-month anniversary
Woo!
of the Nostalgic Podblast.
Yeah.
And I want to have a toast with you guys to 2020, to our new year 2020.
2020. Gosh.
So I'll get some champagne flowing.
But what
And in the meantime, I want to ask, did Santa bring you guys any toys this past
Yeah, but
Christmas?
you just said 2020. Wouldn't it be great if instead of bringing a clip of the dead Dick Clark back on the New Year's Eve rocking thing, they always seem to bring a clip of poor Dick Clark.
This is not going to go well, audience.
Who's had a stroke, bless his heart,
Oh, God.
and he brings back, I want to say Happy New Year, everybody. He kisses his wife, and he slobbers all over. But instead of, I probably shouldn't have said all that, but anyway, it doesn't matter. It's a pod blast, so we can say what we want to say. Wouldn't it be great if they brought Hugh Downs back, and he would say, "This is 2020."
Yeah, that wouldn't be
Or
bad.
Barbara Walters.
But is he alive
Yes,
or is
he's
he
still
gone?
alive.
Yeah,
He's
he can still
alive.
do that.
Yeah, he's
then.
still alive.
You know what?
Barbara
You-
Wawa's still alive too.
Baba Waba too.
You know what game show that Hugh Downs used to be on?
Yes, I do.
Concentration.
Ding,
You're
ding.
right. Okay.
We
Very
talked about that in
good.
Podblast 2 about game shows.
I would like
Al wasn't listening.
Ricardo Montalban from Fantasy Island to be like, welcome, it's 2020.
Well, that's true.
You better not say I'm tattoo over here.
Hey,
The
boss.
plane,
Hey, boss,
the
the plane, not the
plane.
boss.
The
Hey,
new
boss.
year.
Because I'm a
It's the
little,
new year.
because I'm a
The new
little
year's
guy.
coming, boss.
Hey, boss, I want to tell you about the flame, boss.
Hey, but the funny thing about Ricardo Montalban was his commercials for the beautiful
Yes.
Cordova, the
Fine
Cordova,
Corinthian
the
leather.
Corinthian leather.
Yeah.
Which was a made-up
That was-
BS bogus term.
Well, yeah,
Corinthian leather. What is
But-
that? Is
but
that
if-
real?
that's true. It is real. But if you look at the seats, you go, my God, these seats won't last 3 years because it's so fluffy and stuffy and stuff. But what's that got to do with toys? Nothing.
I'm just watching Chance struggle over here, and I'm just enjoying
This is
this.
a 10-year-old bottle of bubbly, and I cannot get this cork to pop.
Well, don't make
That
it
sounds like a
spray
personal
everywhere.
problem.
No, it's not going to
Okay.
spray. I'm worried about where this projectile is going to go, right into the camera, most
Well,
likely.
that's what she
in
said.
3D.
Just put it under your chin. And
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Take it in the chin.
You're in a
chance.
lovely mood today, Al Hardy.
Sorry, audience. I am
Take
a
it.
crass individual.
That's pretty cool.
Well, why chances
You never
struggling?
answered my question though. What toys did Santa bring you guys this year?
Go ahead, Daniel.
Or did you bring your?
no,
or did
no,
Santa
yeah,
bring
no.
your daughter? You have a daughter.
Yeah, well, my daughter is in my lovely and amazing daughter Savannah is in sophomore in college, so she got the gift of cash.
Oh, $20. Great.
A little bit more than that, but she can use that a lot more to her own purposes than we did take her shopping a little bit. My wife and I, we don't exchange presents just because we put so much money into our house and our lives together to be like, hey honey, I bought you this knit sweater, I love you. We don't find really necessary. Dude, Chance is going to struggle the whole show with
He's
this.
probably going
And
to.
I don't even. I could help him, but I just don't
He's
want to
probably
do
going
it.
to give himself a stroke because
You
it's
know,
really fun watching.
you
him try
shaking
to-
that thing is going to make it explode.
That's right.
You know, you just
shaking.
well, you're moving it around. You're going to make it explode.
Well, at least I'm distracted and I'm not over talking.
All right. Well, while
while I struggle with
Chance
this
is working
thing.
on this, the focus of this Podblast is favorite toys from our childhood.
Sure.
Being that both Al and Tom are our resident seniors, why don't you name a couple of toys
Ooh,
from
boomers.
your youth
Well,
that was a standout?
go ahead, Al.
You first.
Well, the Great Galoo, which I never got as a child.
Glue.
The Great Galoo.
Oh,
He was a big robot that's just about
nice.
about this tall, made by
Nice.
Marx. I think it's made by
Nice.
Marx. And he was a great looking robot. He was a kind of a cross between a robot and the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Nice.
Lagoon. I can't talk. And the childhood toy that I got, I still have one. It's not the actual one I had, but it was a Yogi Bear by Knickerbocker Toys. It was a stuffed animal, stuffed character. And the one I've got still has the original tag hanging off
Nice.
from Knickerbocker Toys on it, which is really rare to find. And I've got in my adulthood, I've gone back and that's what happens with a lot of people Al's age, is they'll go they'll go and try to find toys that they had when they were kids, and I've done the same thing. So I think I've got 2 Yogi Bears. There was 2 different styles. But I got the style that I had. And I've also got a Huckleberry Hound. And I got a
Nice.
Boo Boo Bear. Hey, Boo. Hey, Boo
Nice.
Boo. This is Yogi. Hey, Boo Boo. But it was pretty good. Chances is going to break a fingernail here in a minute trying to open this stupid box.
He's going to make a mess, is what
It's
he's going to
been.
do.
I guess it's fermented shut.
Well,
Well,
which-
it's 10 years old.
Well, what you need is a
Don't aim that at my head,
yeah,
Danny.
aim it at his stomach.
Okay.
Hello, the
My
weight.
choices are
So
expensive equipment, Chance's head, or the window. Audience, would you like to vote?
Chance's head. His head.
Cast your vote now.
wait, let's hear it. Let's hear it from the window. Let's hear it for Chance's body. Yeah. So anyway, another favorite toy, because back in the 60s when I was growing up, was the famous Monsters of Filmland had come out again because they'd released all the prints to TV and they had all these local horror host shows. So Frankenstein was popular, Wolfman was popular, and all this sort of stuff. And there was
Well, Tom, since you mentioned some classic Universal Studios monsters, I did bring my
He is cool.
Frankenstein action figure, which was actually a present that my daughter requested many years ago.
but he was brought up by Sideshow when Sideshow was putting out the classic film monsters. So he's not old ones like the ones I got at home. I've got the model.
Oh,
That
yeah,
came
no,
out,
I've
the
got some of
Aurora
those too.
models.
Yeah.
And yeah, you've got some of those.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
you
brought some.
brought them. Yeah,
Now,
you
I
did.
also the writing is so small, but this was probably about like maybe 1975.
Yeah.
It's this little wind up creature of the
creature.
Black Lagoon, where you'd wind the little
He's a walker.
the right he'd walk and little sparks would blow out his
Really?
out of his mouth.
Now the
We're-
sparks still.
No, I mean this thing is so old, but like I said, I can't read the writing on his foot, but this has to be like 1974,
Is it-
1975.
Is it as old as Al? That's
Wait
what,
a minute. That is so cool.
yes.
By the
Chance,
way,
your turn.
Does he work? Can you?
Well, yeah. Now, unfortunately, I mean, now, like if you turn this, like his feet will still kind of move.
Well, he can.
And where you hear those gears grinding, that's where the sparks would come out.
Now, have you tried to take him apart and fix him?
No.
Okay.
It looks like he's glued on
Well,
the
he
seams.
He is.
Perhaps like a professional toy person could.
Chance is
restore
raising
this.
his hand.
It probably
Go,
costs,
Chance.
Probably costs more than
Just want to mention we will have a special guest calling in who is a professional toy grader to talk about his best things he's seen come through to be graded, the most valuable things. And Tom will do a brief interview later on in the show when he calls in. That's Joshua Foote is his name, and he's my brother-in-law. And you know what Santa brought me? Actually, via my lovely sister Nicole, she got me this vintage video game, and we'll talk about video games later in the show. If you want to hold it up to the camera, it's Space Invaders. Isn't that cool?
Excellent. I remember that.
Nicole Foote, my sister, got me that. Al, will you hold that up to the camera for Facebook Live?
What's your last name?
Foote and Joshua Foote. That's her husband, spelled Foote.
Oh, Foote. Okay. Foote. It's like French.
Now, Al, you did not chime in on what were some of your toys.
Well,
from your childhood?
that's a sore subject because Al was adopted, and
I was adopted as well.
He didn't have any toys, and all he had was this little rag toy, and he named it Chuck. And him and Chuck had a very jaded. I'm sorry, Al. I'm just kidding. I see
Well,
at least you're smiling.
I didn't collect little toys when I was a kid.
Well, what'd you have? Lego? No,
I do remember my very first.
Hey, these booms squeak.
I squeak. What are you talking about? The thing I remember most as a kid was getting my first bicycle.
Oh,
yes.
Now, what
It was a J.C. Higgins.
J.C.
bicycle.
Higgins.
Yes.
Is that the same Higgins on the Magnum PI? Higgins.
You have to ask Chance. I don't think so.
No, yeah, Higgins was the.
Yeah, he was.
Butler.
Higgins was the butler on Magnum PI.
Yeah,
You're
but did he
correct.
make the bikes?
I don't think he did.
Well, so I remember my first.
Hey guys, the cork is ready to pop.
Oh, good.
Wait,
I give it up.
here
You're aiming it
comes-
right at my
here
head,
comes
Danny.
here
What
comes
the hell?
Here goes the drum.
What the heck?
Turn around.
There might be
Chance.
kids listening.
Turn around,
Oh my! Off the back!
Oh, that was
Off my
boy,
back!
That was pretty good. I wish
Did the mic pick up that sound?
Yeah,
That's cool.
well, that's great,
And
Danny.
it's not. Hey, look, and he's corking it with his
It
thumb.
didn't
so there's
foam
no mess.
over. I didn't break any of Al's expensive equipment.
Well,
Okay, that's good.
And no animals or children were hurt.
But there is a
Speak for yourself,
there
man.
is
My back's sore.
there is a paintball bruise on Chad.
I was trying to get you in the-
You should have hit him in the
Oh,
ass.
look at
Oh,
that.
it's barely
Look at that welt.
red.
He's got a
Yeah.
welt. I think he's got a welt suit.
See now,
Al has very good homeowners. So
Clearly, I'm not a Marine. I'm
I
sitting
had,
here.
to, I had to tap them for a little bit.
liberty, liberty,
Cork
liberty. That's enough. Oh, that's enough. I got to drive. Anyway, this is
Danny, there's yours. You pour
champagne.
yourself some bubbly.
I don't like
10-year-old
champagne.
champagne.
Yeah, but you can at least take a sip. Just to,
It's-
in the
but
true
It's
tradition.
domestic. You can drink out the bottle.
So
would
anyway,
the Pope condone that?
the Frankenstein and all the monsters were popular when I was a kid. So naturally, I wanted some monsters. I think I even got a Munsters coach model, which I think I put together. Yeah, I did have one. I think I had a Batmobile too because that were popular. That was popular too.
Now, I did have models growing up. I love you know.
But here's the funny thing: I had a friend that we'll go nameless.
Cheers.
Okay, wait a minute. Here we go. Cheers. Here we go. Cheers.
I feel left
And,
out.
and cheers.
Well, I'm left out over here. I
It's
didn't
your
get
own
anything.
fault. You said I don't like champagne when I, told
don't
you I was
like
bringing
champagne.
champagne over here.
Oh, okay.
But no, you can have some. Take a swig.
Here we go. Ooh,
Take a swig.
Here we go.
Straight from the
And
bottle.
here, cheers. Here, let's all
wait,
cheers.
wait,
Glass is
cheers,
6 month
That's 6
plus
months.
anniversary
There
of
you
the
go.
nostalgic
There we go.
Podblast.
There we go. All right.
Al and I started it, and then Tom came
All right,
aboard
here
in
we go.
Podblast 3, the Honeymooners Podblast, and here we are.
Actually, it's pretty good.
And now Danny's
Not
a
bad.
contributor.
So, anyway,
Very good.
that was very good. Thank you, Chance, for that.
Here,
You're
I'll-
welcome.
I'll do like doing mass. I'll just wipe it off.
So you got a Higgins bike. I
A
had
J.C. Higgins bike.
I
Yes.
had I didn't have a Schwinn, but the Schwinns back then were rather pricey as well. I think Danny got one, but I'll let him address that in a second. But I got a Western Auto. Remember Western Auto stores?
Yes, I do.
All right. So my dad went downtown and I got it was a nice bike. It was called the Presidential or the President or something like that. It was one of their brands. And I got one of those, and it was a nice little bike, believe me. But I always wanted a Schwinn market work. Oh, anyway, a Schwinn, and I never got a Schwinn until I got a paper route, and then I bought the family's name was Sullivan. They lived like 2 doors down. He used to be a paper boy, and he wasn't using his bike anymore. So I managed to get it from him. So there you go. There's my bike.
So
So
don't you have some?
You've always
Schwinn
been
in-
hardworking.
Don't you have some
Since you
Schwinn
were a
in your
kid,
garage?
Yeah, I've got a Schwinn that belongs to my son. That's hanging up in the on the wall. That's a really nice Schwinn. And Danny got. What'd you get, Danny?
It was a Schwinn or a Huffy. Now, what I wanted to address about bikes, I had a sort of thought about like coming of age toys, beyond board games, action figures, the like. Where when you got your first bike, it opened up a whole new world of freedom. Well, no, I mean freedom, transportation.
You see Mark over there?
For our younger audience members,
What do you want?
You see Mark over there? Go ahead. Keep talking.
we had no helmets, we had no knee pads, elbow pads,
Yes.
and
Hey, Mark.
and
Everybody, wait. Everybody say hi to Mark. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Mark, how's it going, Mark? Watching on Facebook Live.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
Danny,
Is
continue.
it Mark
Coming of
Smith?
age.
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead.
So not only were we riding our bikes around with no helmets, no pads.
That wasn't it. But what always used to happen to me was my dungarees always used to get caught in that damn chain.
Oh yeah,
Remember
yeah,
that
yeah.
chain?
No,
Yeah.
the chain would come off.
Yeah. No, they would get stuck and
Yeah.
you're sitting there, you can't do anything and you wreck.
Would you have bell bottoms on?
No, we didn't have bell bottoms. Anyway, keep going. I'm sorry.
Now, beyond the freedom of the first bike, we created a bunch of dangerous ramps where you would
Ooh,
find
I did that too.
Yeah.
In the woods.
Yeah.
In the woods.
where you'd find
They
some
did that
old
back in the 30s?
you'd find old discarded tires, a piece of plywood, and you'd start stacking the tires higher and higher to increase the level of the angle of the ramp of takeoff.
Yeah.
And I remember once I came charging down the hill and I'm pedaling for all I'm worth. And we used to put tires at the end of the ramp to jump it like a stunt. And
How'd that work out?
bets started getting ensued. Oh, you won't jump it with 4 tires. Well, I bet you can't do 5, you girly girl. What about 6? And so, I was like, yeah, man, I'll do it. And so
Was there money involved?
It was
You said
$5. It was $5.
Oh,
which
wow.
was a lot.
That's a lot of
It was
money.
a
back
lot.
then. That's a lot of money.
So of course I was willing to risk life and limb for $5. So charging down the hill, here's Danny Cochran. He's pedaling his bike. As soon as I hit the ramp, the handlebars stripped.
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
So I
remember that.
literally went over the ramp like on a 2-wheel unicycle because I couldn't hold on the handlebars. My hands were at my side. Of course, as soon as my bike hit, and I did clear all 6 or 7 tires or whatever it was,
Ooh, Evil
just
Knievel.
we'll talk about Evil Knievel. My bike skidded, and this is like Georgia clay. My bike's trashed. I've got scrapes and stuff on my knees, my elbows. I'm bleeding. My jeans are torn, but like I felt
Yikes.
totally victorious. And I had to go home and be like, "Hey, don't know what happened. My handlebars stripped, Dad."
No, wait. Clarify now.
I can relate, Danny.
What kind of bicycle was it? Was it butterfly handlebars?
Yeah, I mean, it
And
was like
was
having
it-
a sort of
was it-
banana
was
seat.
the banana seat?
Yeah.
Did it have the big spoiler on the back? The big,
No, I did not have the spoiler.
but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
right?
well, sure.
Okay.
He showed me like I had like a race car bike.
Yeah.
No, it's just your average not teenager, kid bike.
I had a dirt bike Rampar. And, to piggyback on what you said, how about skateboards? That was kind of a similar thing where in the woods, we would make half pipes and just, we would do crazy things on skateboards growing up.
Oh, yeah.
With, as you said earlier, no helmet, no pads, no nothing,
No.
You need a cup.
which I don't recommend.
Do I need a cup?
Yeah, do you need a cup?
And you had a pool growing up, so I'm sure you either rode your bike off of the diving board or rode your skateboard off the diving board into the pool. I have no doubt that you did one or both of those things.
No comment. But
So-
I did sustain a head injury, which is why I'm half nuts. When
That
I still had
explains
training
everything.
does.
wheels going down a steep driveway, bike overflipped, no helmet, and I hit the cement hard, and so I had to go to the hospital. And that day, let me just say, it was a Saturday, and I remember Mom took me inside after I fell, and I put on Donnie Marie show, and she fed me SpaghettiOs and strawberry Kool-Aid. And to this day, I can't eat either because it gives me a flashback of that injury, and it just makes me queasy to think of SpaghettiOs or strawberry Kool-Aid. Anyway,
Well, that's good to go. Mark has corrected me. Actually, the technical name was Sissy Bar.
yeah,
On the
right.
bike,
That's
on the
right.
bike,
He is
Sissy
right.
Bar. Mark is
Okay.
right.
Well-
See, Mark was supposed to be here today too, but I just anyway.
Okay, now
Sorry, Mark.
Now touching on dangerous stunts.
We need to show off some toys
I
we
have-
brought.
Oh no, I'm
we're
getting
going to get
Yeah.
to it. This is going to be an action-packed show, a fun show.
Tom mentioned Evil Knievel.
Evil Knievel.
For those of you too young to remember, I don't even know. Do they have stuntmen anymore?
Yeah,
Yes.
they do.
Or,
But not
yeah,
like,
people just go to like Cirque du Soleil.
No,
and
no.
they're
The
satisfied
new
with
Quentin
that?
Tarantino movie's all
Cirque du
about
Soleil.
stunts and stuntmen. What's it called, guys? You saw it a couple
Well,
times. The new
well,
Quentin Tarantino,
the
Hollywood.
one. Yeah.
Once upon a time in
Yeah,
Hollywood.
Yeah.
So Evil Knievel, occasionally on I think CBS or NBC. It'd usually be a Saturday, and he'd
ABC.
show up, and he's the ABC. Thank you, Tom.
Mhm.
He's jumping buses. He's jumping a pool full of lemon sharks. He's rocketing across the Snake River Canyon. And more than not, when I saw, he failed epically. And every time he's in the stretcher, all broken and battered, he'd be like, "This is my last stunt ever." No. A year or so later, when he healed,
He's back.
Yeah. This is my last stunt ever. So, as a kid, going back to the toys,
Mhm.
not only, well, I have a picture here from the 70s, and underneath the tree is the Evil Knievel stunt cycle in box with a bow. It's too small to see, but being your resident comic book expert, I plunged through my collection
Nostalgic
for early
Podblast.
ads, and this you can hold up.
This is Becca, and I'm friends with Al Hardy.
Hey, Becca.
I wanted to call in and say hi.
Good to hear from you. I remember the days at 106.
We have a call, Danny. Didn't mean to interrupt. We have a call. State your name again.
Rebecca.
My name is Becca.
We called her Becca.
and I used to do radio with Al way back when.
Was he Al Hampton then, or was he Al Hardy?
Al Hardy.
Is
He
that,
was Al Hardy. It was at Kicks and Y106.7.
Yeah, you were on 106.7 and I was on 101.5.
wow.
Correct.
It was a
We're
good
down
time.
the
Good
hall.
good memories. Good memories. I'm glad you called.
That's
Remember
great.
when I got my zipper stuck?
Wow.
Remember when I got my
Wow.
Wait, hey, Becca, I want you to extrapolate on that story.
I'll tell you.
It was my zipper on my jeans got stuck.
Ooh.
And I literally could not.
What did it get stuck
Wait
on?
a minute.
Nothing. It just the zipper.
Oh.
broke.
Oh,
It literally
okay.
What
got
happened
stuck.
was she came running into the control room for 101.5,
I tried to
right?
go to the bathroom.
And she says, I got to go to the bathroom. And I
Yeah,
can't get my
right.
zipper down. And so she got up on the counter and laid over, and I got the zipper down.
Ow.
Remember that?
I was a
ad?
hero.
I was the hero.
I was a
yes.
hero.
Those are great memories. I'm glad you remember
Oh, my-
that.
Especially that story.
What's your favorite toy growing up?
And that were they were black jeans
Favorite
too.
toy, Cabbage Patch Kids.
Oh my
Definitely.
God.
Yep, we're going to talk about that when we get to the girls' toys. I'm glad you brought that up,
Oh, you're
Becca.
on boy toy now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's like
Okay.
Well, this is Al's place, so
yeah. Well, listen,
Okay, well,
it was great to hear from you.
And
Jeez.
I'm like, I've got to chime in on my Cabbage Patch Kids right now.
Oh, sure.
Well,
Which
do you still have your Cabbage Patch doll?
My mom actually has them. She will not get rid of them. She refuses. They're all in a big box. My sisters and mine. I had a ton of them.
how is the rubber holding up on them? The heads.
Good.
Whatnot?
They look
pretty
totally.
good.
They look just brand new.
Oh,
Becca, I've got a question for you. What was
Yes.
the standout about, say, a Cabbage Patch doll versus the other dolls on the market? What gravitated you towards wanting
Well,
that
you
toy?
could pick what kind you wanted. If you wanted brown hair or blonde or green eyes,
Right.
there actually was. They were called adoption dolls. They came before Cabbage Patch Kids, and someone would literally make them uniquely for you.
Right.
So you could say, I want, and my thing, I don't know why, but I have brown hair and brown eyes, but I had a thing I wanted my Cabbage Patch Kid to have red hair and green eyes and freckles. Why? I have no idea. But that's what I got. And my sister wanted a blonde hair one with blue eyes. Because we didn't have blonde hair, blue eyes, none of that. So we wanted one that looked totally different from ourselves.
So we
still have those too.
So is the fact that it was sort of like custom tailored to your wants
Yes,
that sort of
yes.
lent the appeal? It sort of reminds me of in later years now they've got the Build-A-Bear.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly, yep. That's
So sort of like a
exactly
same
right.
concept, right?
Yes. I have a 3.5-year-old. We have yet to Build-A-Bear, but we will at some point, I'm sure.
Do they still have
And my
the?
cat-
Do they still have the hospital for them? It's in Georgia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they still do. Yeah, the Cabbage Patch. It's up in North Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah, they still have that.
Because now that there's no Toys R Us or KB Toys or anywhere really to go buy these toys except Target or Walmart, I never see them any longer. So I'm guessing they're still in. Okay, when I got an Italian accent because I saw the Pope sitting here in front of Al. So I'm assuming they still make them, but I haven't seen them in any stores.
Yes, they do. They do. I do have a special story about one of my Cabbage Patch Kids named Melanie.
Melanie.
So in Kroger, I grew up in East Cobb, and believe it or not, I moved back to East Cobb. Al, I don't know if you knew that.
Becca,
Married to
Yeah.
Georgia, USA.
Becca, what high school did you
Yeah,
go to?
married in Georgia,
What high
USA.
school?
And I went to Wheeler.
Oh, I was a Walton kid.
Oh, see, you know,
Rivals.
what's funny is my little girl is. We want her to go to Walton. That's why we moved back to East Cobb. Yeah. So, which is kind of funny sending your kid to your rival high school, but whatever, that's fine. So we were at a Kroger, Johnson Ferry Road in Marietta, and they had a contest to win a Cabbage Patch Kid, and you had to fill out, little slips of paper, put them in a box. Well, I filled it out. I brought a stacked home with me. Stacked.
So you cheated.
And I filled the hell out of these things.
Wow.
And I sat there and just hundreds of them.
Did you use
And I
different
brought
names
them
and
back
stuff?
Put them in.
Did you use a different name every time you filled it out, or the same name?
No, I just
Ah.
put my name and just filled out stacks of
Wow.
them.
Enter as often as you like.
And I-
Well done.
And I ended up winning this Cabbage Patch Kid. It was like when you're
Yay!
you win something, and it's something that cool. I mean, it was like the best thing in the world.
Now,
So I
Xavier,
won one.
did Xavier start that line? Wasn't it Xavier?
Somebody.
Well, Xavier is tattooed on
Not Charles
the
Xavier.
bottom of the baby, so I think it was Xavier or something. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's a great story.
Well, we appreciate you calling in. Did you have anything else you wanted to share about a childhood memory of a favorite toy besides the Cabbage Patch and adoption dolls?
Well, there is one thing, but Al's gonna take it and run with it. So I'm afraid to even say it.
Nah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Do it, Becca.
The little sit and spin game.
Good one.
Ooh.
Good
Oh, I
one.
remember that. Yeah.
I'm like, oh God, where are they gonna go with this one?
Is that how your
Yeah.
zipper got broke?
No,
Where's
no.
that rim shot?
Oh,
This
she
thing
laughed.
was
Come
fun.
on.
So you didn't have Mystery Date, the game Mystery Date, the board game?
No, what's
Oh.
that?
Did you have mystery date, Tom?
No,
He just made it up.
No, it didn't matter.
I've got one for you.
Wait, because
All right.
mystery date. Are you ready for your mystery date? Don't be late for your
I remember
mystery
it.
date. Remember that? You remember
Yeah,
that?
I do.
You
I remember
remember
that.
that jingle?
I
What's
remember
wrong with
that.
you?
No, I just had the sissy handlebars, whatever they were called.
Sissy bar.
Yeah, sissy bar. I missed out on the whole mystery date.
Yeah, Mark
thing,
called you
so.
out on that one.
Becca, I've got one for you, and I'm glad that you're representing the women because it was a room full of guys here. Remember the Light Bright and the Easy Bake
Oh,
Oven?
Yeah.
Why is a light bright a girl's
I
toy?
don't like bright.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had a light bright.
You
Light Bright,
misogynistic
you're right.
bastard.
You're right. That's multi.
It's for nerds and sissies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be
And-
multi.
And girls.
Now, Becca.
I can't see y'all anymore. You went away.
Oh no, that's Al Hardy, our
It must be
resident technician.
Must be the
now-
bad internet connection.
Messed me up.
No.
Where did you go?
It's crappy. It's crappy internet connection.
Now,
Oh wait, here we go. Here we go.
hey Becca, where
Yeah.
you mentioned, I think that you have a younger daughter.
Yeah.
What's your stance on like the whole like Barbie doll thing, giving it to girls? Do you think it empowers young girls, or is it somehow sends a bad body image?
You know what's funny is my little girl is very girly as far as she's very, very cute.
And she's very, very
Real.
cute. I've seen her
People comment
pictures.
all the time. She's very girly, likes to wear glittery clothes and sequins, stuff like that.
Right.
But you know what she asked Santa for this year? She asked for monster trucks and a football. And I was like, "You
Tomboy.
yeah."
She's a little tomboy.
It's so funny. But then she also, people think that little girls want dolls. So people
Right.
that didn't know her very well all got her dolls. Ariel, Barbie, all the princesses that annoy the what out of me.
Wait,
And
she didn't want any of the
I just
Frozen
never
dolls?
put that into I was never into princesses, and so I was kind of happy that she's not into that, because you read these books and it's like your life revolves around meeting the man of your dreams, and he comes and sweeps you away, and I hate that. I
Right.
hate that.
Yeah.
Because that's not what I want her to think. Is I'm just living my life till the man of my dreams comes and sweeps me off my feet. Like, I don't like that.
So
So she literally has a pile of dinosaurs, like a huge pile. Next to it, a pile of monster trucks, and then like one Barbie she'll pull out.
So Becca, so she's waiting for a dinosaur and a monster truck to sweep off her feet.
Exactly.
I'm just kidding.
Now, how old is she again, Becca?
She's 3.5.
3.5. And she's not enamored with Frozen?
Oh, she does. Yes, she does like Frozen. We saw Frozen 2. And she does play with her Elsa and Anna, but she doesn't play with them. She likes watching it and talking about it, reading books and all that kind of stuff, but she's not that into the princesses. Now, I do have a relative, she's 4, and I mean, they're in Disney hell daily. And
And I bet they have Disney Plus.
I can't. The Disney Plus. We have Disney Plus, and she watches it sometimes. But I mean, this little girl plays as princesses, dresses up like them every day.
Yeah.
And I just can't with princesses. So I'm actually really happy that mine's into monster trucks. We're actually taking her to the monster truck jam.
I love Monster Jam. It's awesome. I've been many times.
Fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
So fun. I went there once, and I think she's either going to be scared as hell, or she's going to love it. I'm not sure which.
Well, Becca, we got to roll, but thank you for calling in. Call in next time. We're going to hopefully do another Podblast next Sunday if you're free. We'd love to hear from you again.
Hey, Becca.
Well, I appreciate it.
Let's get together. Hey, Becca.
Yes.
Let's get together sometime. I'd love to see you again.
That would be fun. I'll try to get my zipper stuck for you.
Oh,
Okay.
but seriously,
I love it. All right.
Al, we got to produce some rim shots.
Thanks for calling.
Okay.
I will bring out a sit and spin.
All right. Bye.
I'll bring out a sit and spin. Let's put that thing back on the microphone.
Now, Danny was talking about Evil Knievel.
I know,
Back to
we
the
got
photo.
Like, totally derailed by.
That's all right.
Cabbage
Okay.
Patch Kids.
But it was good to hear from Becca.
Yeah, it was nice. It was
And
nice.
she worked at 106.7.
I heard her.
When they were
Yeah,
country.
Yeah.
Well, and we welcome callers.
Cool.
So that was like really cool. So yeah, we were talking about Evil Knievel before we got, into Cabbage Patch Dolls and all that stuff. So once again, being the resident comic book expert, I found this ad on the back of this comic book, and I'll let Al hold this up. But this is for the Evil Knievel stunt cycle and various stunt wagon. Now the thing about this toy,
Stunt wagon.
it was almost indestructible. He had sort of plastic head, a body with just a wire frame covered in rubber, and you would crank the motorcycle up.
Oh, we have another caller.
And once again, you could make ramps and stuff, and this thing would go tumbling. It would bounce off trees. It could go through puddles, and you could not destroy it.
Yeah, that's so I've got Mark, and Mark, what was your favorite toy growing up? Now, when you grew up, you had to have a favorite one. So which one was it? What was it?
I guess it has to be like the G.I. Joe with lifelike hair.
Probably.
Oh, you're right. But I could never get any of the spaceship or the capsule.
Right.
Separate. Yeah.
Okay, I've brought some GI Joes with me. I don't know if you can want. There's the box cover. But like with the Kung Fu grip.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
He's even got the Kung Fu grip.
Yeah. No, yeah, the Kung Fu grip, and there's one. I've brought 4 of them. The Sea Adventure, the Land Adventure, the classic Joe, and it's got the silver dog tag with the little action team logo, the giant A over the T.
Oh.
Yeah, right there. Action team.
Mine must have been the AWOL version.
The AWOL version. Was there an AWOL version, Daniel?
Yeah, they made so many there probably could be.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it a bit. What other types of toys did you have growing up that you recall?
I can remember, and nobody's ever heard of them before, and it turns out 3L used to put out these games that were based. One was called Image, and you would draw cards,
right?
And there'd be this plastic that would lay on the table, and it had spaces 1 through whatever. And
now there was something like that back in the 50s. What was it called? Winky Dink or something like? Remember Tom Hudgens had one out. You'd put it over your TV set, and a guy would draw something. You would draw the bridge, and the character on live TV would actually walk across your bridge if you drew the line like the host said. So it sounds similar to what you're talking
I've never
about.
heard of that.
Yeah. I think I've got the name wrong. It wasn't Winky Dink, but it was something like that.
Yeah, this was called Image, and you would just build a character from history. Could be fictional, could be non-fictional. But I believe, best I can remember, there was deceased or alive, and somebody else could make the person that you were building dead.
Oh, wow.
So you had to had this game.
Nice game, Mark. You had this when you were a kid? Did your parents know about it?
Well, I mean, it was, yeah, I mean, I was 10, 12.
Okay, so what was your first bike, though? Do you remember your first bike? I don't mean tricycle. I mean
I
two-wheeler.
remember the story of it had a banana seat,
Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
and I learned the hard way that when you jump over the ramp, you stand up for when you land.
Did you do that, Danny?
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's how I stripped my handlebars
Okay.
because all my
Well,
weight
I
was
didn't
on
know
that.
You should stand up and not be sitting on the seat,
You're right.
or that you were going to land really hard, and that's how I became acutely aware of
Being a boy.
a certain spot.
Oh, yeah, I got you. Well, you know, because when I was a kid, I had the butterfly handlebars as well. And in my neighborhood, there was a supermarket called Bilo. And I remember going there one day, and I jumped the curb with the front, and the handlebars came up and knocked my front tooth and broke it in half. So I remember going through elementary school with a broken tooth because the stupid dentist that my mother took us to, not my mother's very smart, but the stupid dentist who didn't use Novocaine, said, no, you need to wait till he's a teenager to get that tooth fixed. And I remember going through elementary school with that. And it's still, it doesn't bug me now, but back then.
Well, was it a baby tooth that you were going to?
No, it was a permanent tooth. It was a permanent tooth. It's one of these.
Why would you want to wait till you're?
Because your tooth, because you're, yeah, because you're really, yeah, he wasn't a real dentist because you're still.
We found out that the dentist we went to turned out he wasn't even a real dentist.
Oh my gosh, lawsuits. But anyway, you had the typical 1960s butterfly handlebars and all that sort of stuff as well then.
Yeah, late 60s, early 70s. Yep, sure enough.
That's fantastic.
And the sissy bar on my sister's.
wait, did you ever have to ride your sister's bike? Because remember the girl's bike had different frame.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hey, Mark, while we're talking about like bikes and like sort of like rite of passage toys, did you ever have a BB gun? Like, no, you never had like the Daisy rifle or Red Ranger or.
My father had a pellet pistol.
Ooh, nice. My gosh, back then.
That's high class.
Woo! That's breaking the skin kind of hurt, and then some.
Well, yeah, it definitely would leave a mark.
Well, I've got an ad here for some of the Daisy rifles. They had like 3 different models here: the Daisy Red Rider, the Daisy 99 Champion, and the Daisy 102 Cub. That's what I had. My brother had the Red Rider. Al, if you would like to hold that up.
Now, see, my brother got I want to say he got the BB rifle, but he also got a 22 rifle too. So my father said,
at the same time, because like it seems like it'd be like it cancel out. Like either
it does,
start him with a BB gun, or give him a real gun.
But he got the gun. He got the BB gun, I guess. And I got I've got a GE transistor radio, which I still have. Which Al. We were at a flea market somewhere. I don't know if you had remember the leather case you gave me, Al?
Yeah, I bought the radio.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, and I took the case and gave it to you.
Right.
I still have the radio.
Right.
Too.
Right. Well, I still got the radio, and Walt Taylor, a mutual friend of ours, is going to rig it up so I can play it again. But anyway, I still got that radio. It still has my name written on it way back then.
I still have my very first Sears Silvertone 6 transistor radio, and it works.
Does it have your name written on it somewhere?
No.
Oh, you didn't carve your name in it?
My very first stereo had the radio station, the record player, but was an 8-track. And I brought these 2 8-track tapes that were original
We all had 8-tracks.
I think we all did. So that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I think I got a third one in here.
Hey, Mark, we gotta let you go for right now, but thank you so much for calling in, and we hope to have you on in person at some point in the very near future, because I know you got a ton of stories about board games, et cetera, and we'd certainly like to hear your take on it. Okay.
I believe the word is plethora.
Plethora. Yes, plethora. but look at. All right, but look.
Thanks for calling, Mark.
Thanks, Mark. We'll talk at you later, everybody. We'll see you at work. Bye.
Now we have another caller.
Do these play?
I'm sure they do.
Do you still have a player?
Al's referring to 8-track tapes. We'll get to that in a second.
No, I mean, they're not damaged at all.
Hey, you're eating the mic again.
They're not damaged at all.
We have a special caller on the line. This is our toy grading expert, Joshua Foote, my brother-in-law, and he's going to answer some questions from Tom. Hey, Josh, how are you doing?
Hey, Josh.
Hey, how's it going, Chance? What's up, Tom? How you doing?
Oh, it's going very good, very good, very good indeed.
So, what's the name of the firm that you work at?
Well, the umbrella firm is the Collectible Grading Authority, CGA, CGAgrading.com.
Oh yeah, I've heard
the
of that.
Action Figure Authority, AFA, is probably the part that would be most interesting to y'all and the topic of discussion today.
Now I've got several. I've got a Frankenstein Jr. Coin bank, which was graded by you guys a few years ago, and I bought it, and it had already been graded, and et cetera, and it was in the very nice case, very nice little plastic case that you guys put stuff in. Which I wish I had some of those. Around.
Yeah, all those cases are made in house.
Wow.
We've got a fabrication department that makes those acrylic cases for it.
Yeah, those cases.
Awesome, and
those cases are great for keeping everything in pristine condition, which is what they're for.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
what
And
is
they
it?
have to be. We really have to make them in house because it's really every toy is of different size.
Sure,
it's a real
sure.
headache to get them.
Now I know they do baseball cards. I know different companies. I think it's CGC or whatever, but they do baseball cards. You do toys. You do all types of different.
Now Josh,
games.
do they do the grading like they do comics? Is it like a 1 through 10 where you can have like a 9.0 versus like a 9.2? Does it work the same way?
We got two scales we work with. The most of our vintage stuff is done under a 100-point scale. So it's basically the same thing, yeah. And everything that comes in, we authenticate. We make sure that all the seals are real, that it hasn't been, there aren't any reproduction parts, or there hasn't been any restoration done to it, that it's all original.
Now, how do you tell us the process? How do you research that? Like if I send you in a toy that I bought, let's say I bought it off eBay or whatever, and I want to get it graded, and because I think it's in mint enough shape to where I think it's worthwhile. What happens when I send it to you? What happens? Tell us the process.
Well, it's going to go through a pretty rigorous process, but mainly, we're examining each thing to see what looks legitimate, whether the seals are legitimate, whether it's still tape sealed, whether it appears that the box has been opened or not. There are a lot of things that people do to try to get one bias, from reproduction cards or trying to re-glue a blister back onto a Star Wars card, that kind of thing. Yeah. I'll give you an example. This may be one of the easiest examples to kind of wrap your head around. The Jawa Star Wars figure, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
The first ones that came out had
the
a
cloth.
vinyl cape on.
I thought the cloth was the first.
No, Danny, he's right. Josh knows his stuff.
Oh, I'm sure he is.
But the first ones that came in had a little vinyl cape on them, but Kenner thought it was too cheap looking for such a small figure, so they put a cloth one on him. So, of course, the early ones with the vinyl cape are now more valuable, rarer and more valuable. So a lot of people have tried to pull one with a cloth cape on off the card, put a fake vinyl cape on it and re-glue it in there and pass it off as one of the originals. So that's the kind of thing that we have to look out for.
Well, when you're looking at stuff like that, for instance, I'll give you an example in my world. I've got an original Herman Munster pull string Herman Munster, not the puppet, but the actual figure, the stuffed animal, as you might call it. But there was a guy. Right. There was a guy. Now I didn't get the box with it, but the voice box had been rebuilt, like on all of those old figures. I've got a Mr. Ed hand puppet that the voice box is just doesn't work. So that being said, there are places and there are people who rebuild those boxes, and they sound great. Does that really degrade that much from something like that? That's my first question.
You know, I mean, it's up to anybody's opinion what something is worth, this, that, the other. A restoration job on a figure like that would disqualify it from grading from us. We're only trying to look at, original out of the factory or out of the store items. But that I don't want to degrade, anybody's efforts in restoration of figures. I think some of that stuff is really valuable, but it's just not what we're concerned with. Because we can't take something that's been restored and try to, pardon the dog, that's been restored and graded, on the same scale that we've used for something that is, a factory original.
I'll give you an example, another example of the Herman Munster. There's somebody on eBay now, which I don't know who it is, but they're selling the tags that would hang off the hand. They're also selling a reproduction box, which, obviously it's a reproduction. You can look at it and tell, but from a distance, if you have it sitting on your shelf, it's a nice little decorative piece, then it looks great sitting behind the, or quote unquote, the original box, or in this case, a reproduction. But the reproductions have gotten so scarily realistic. I mean, that's got to be tough sometimes.
So Josh, from say the 70s, what are some of the most sought after toy collectibles?
Well, it's always like I was saying with the vinyl Cape Jaw, it's always the rarest, the earliest, sometimes the ones that the toy company didn't like and changed something that, of course, are the most valuable. Of course, prototypes, things that came out or did not come out but were worked on. Right. I guess the most standard and easiest example to point to is the rocket-firing Boba Fett.
Yes!
You gentlemen know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And that one, that was almost like a perfect storm of how to make something valuable, because that was a premium, that you had to cut out the proofs of purchase for, one of the most popular characters in Star Wars, and it was supposed to shoot a rocket out of its back. But of course, some kid on a different toy, unrelated toy, hurt himself with a rocket.
So they never released it.
Not to interrupt, it was the Battlestar Galactica Cylon Raider. If I'm not mistaken, it would fire a red missile. And so that's true, Josh? I always wonder if that was urban legend. Some kid choked on the Cylon Raider.
I don't know if Josh is watching our thing.
I can't speak to who got hurt or where, but I do know that was about the era where concerns about kids getting hurt on projectiles in toys,
right.
That was when it started coming up. And it is true that all they promoted this figure as if it was going to shoot the rocket out of the back. By the time every kid got it who sent in the proofs of purchase, it didn't shoot. However, of course, they had made prototypes and stuff that did shoot. And those, the only ones that none of those ever reached store shelves or got sent in the mail, but many of them walked out of the back of the Kenner factory one way or the other.
Right.
And those are really the gold standard for what is valuable in
there was a
Star Wars figure.
Well, I've got in hand right now my original non-firing Boba Fett. Well, so you can see the missile, how it's glued in. That's sort of what he's talking about. I think my favorite Star Wars character that I have still is the Yoda with his walking stick, the little orange snake, and his little cape on. And I have him in hand right now, but he is a little tiny little wee figure. So I don't know if our Facebook audience can actually see that.
Podience. Facebook Podience,
the Podience.
Yeah, and it's really, it's the memories of childhood that really bring the value to those things. And it's funny to me because I've worked about 40, 45 hours a week with Star Wars figures, and kind of some of the luster, even though, I can tell you 10, 20 different stories about me and Star Wars figures growing up. But every once in a while, something will come in that I haven't seen in a long time, and it will trigger, like,
those memories.
I saw one time recently a Nerf man came in. I don't know if anybody remembers this toy but me, but it was a Nerf, kind of crudely carved Nerf superhero action figure that you could throw in the house because it was made of Nerf. And when I saw that thing, I hadn't thought about that toy in 30 years. And when I saw it, it just triggered something. That nostalgia and those memories just hit me in such a way that it really reminded me of how the value behind toy company collecting really comes from, those feelings of nostalgia and memories of childhood and that kind of thing. So
absolutely, well said.
But the funny thing about the Kenner factory, as you were alluding to, was there was a toy show on one of the cable networks. I don't even know if it's still on anymore. But this guy would go to these former employees of the Kenner Company, and he would go up in their little toy rooms of their attics, and there'd be boxes and boxes of unreleased Star Wars stuff, figures and whatnot, and he would buy them for crazy money. And it was crazy. I mean, the stuff that some of these quote unquote employees would walk out with, according to that show. So those figures have got to be popping up from time to time, because for this guy to have put this in his show, they're out there. I mean, they're obviously out there, and obviously they get sent to people like yourself to get graded. And some of them, I don't remember if it was the Boba Fett that you were talking about, or one of the other figures. It was bringing like $8,000 or $9,000. Crazy money.
I'm afraid your
grief.
figures are a little low there, or a little behind the times, because let me tell you that a J-slot rocket firing Boba Fett that we graded sold at auction for in excess of $180,000.
Yeah,
He's just a little off.
I'm the one that bought that. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but it's crazy, and I think a lot, with the continuing, enduring popularity of the Star Wars franchise, with the major company that purchased all that, and the way the new movies have kept coming out, I really feel like there's been a lot of rampant speculation in Star Wars, and the values have just gone up astronomically.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Josh, you know what I brought? I brought the this Death Star PlayStation in the box Kenner toy, which I'll hold up for our Facebook Live audience later. But I have that here, and I brought the graded toys you gave me over the years, like Merle from Walking Dead, because he shot me when I played a zombie on that show. And so I have that graded. I'll hold up later for the camera, and the Rogue One Stormtrooper that you gave me for Christmas. That was awesome.
Yeah,
that's great.
Well, those may never be worth $180,000 for you, Chance, but I hope they.
No, sentimental value, brother. No, it's
of course.
It's that. That's what it's all about.
That's where the value all comes from to start with.
Hey, Josh, how's the Stretch Armstrong and Stretch Monster holding up as a collectible?
I can't. I mean, you're better off looking on eBay than asking me.
No, it was a toy. It was a toy that Chance wanted to talk about, so I was just trying to segue into that. Why I had you on the.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I remember those toys, and I loved them. I tell you what, I hope those Stretch Armstrong. I bet you they retain a lot of value, because if you're like me and most kids on Halloween, on Christmas,
you wanted to cut it open and see what the goo was on the inside.
I know how many originals survived carnage.
Yeah.
Almost everybody performed surgery on their Stretch Armstrong that I knew. So
yeah, they claim it's unbreakable. Oh, really? Well, let's find out if this is really unbreakable and unstretchable.
Or just what's in it. What's that stuff in
what's
it?
That
was just like how many G.I. Joes survived firecracker battle. You know what I mean? There's so many.
Exactly.
So many lost soldiers out there.
Hey, Josh, what's the strangest item you found, or rarest, or most valuable? I can't talk. Most valuable toy collectible you've seen that you've graded, or that someone in your firm has graded?
There's probably things that I can't mention from private collections, but I would have to say that, really at the top of the list has to be that rocket firing Boba Fett. And it's just, there has been other things, like I've seen blueprints and stuff from the Kenner factory that have been cased with things, stuff like that. That's just one of a kind and priceless. As far as production toys, I'd have to say, once again, probably in Star Wars, you've got Vinyl Cave Jawa and I don't know if that double telescoping lightsaber. Do you know what that is? Familiar with that, Chance? At first, the first lightsabers had a smaller inner filament, and it kind of telescoped out. You know that they went up into the arm. All of them went up into the arm of the figure.
Right.
But the first was like a two-part thing, and the little inner filament came out of it. And once again, that was something that was very breakable. It didn't survive a lot of play. And they quickly changed it to being just a one-piece thing that came in and out of the arm. So, of course, one with the smaller inner filament part that's still on the card is worth a lot of money.
Ever seen an E.T. Atari cartridge come through?
Chance, not only have I seen an E.T. Atari cartridge, and I hadn't mentioned that part of our business, but we are also the VGA, the Video Game Authority, and we grade sealed video games all the time. I would have to say that in general, Nintendo era stuff is more valuable than the earlier Atari stuff. I think mainly because for those kids, you're really immersed in a world of Nintendo. Those games really turned a corner on playability that the Atari games were interesting, but to me, you played about a half an hour, 45 minutes, and it was all little, blobs on the screen, and you kind of got through with it. But yeah, actually, Chance, twice I've cased one of the ET Atari games from the dump.
Wow.
Let me just tell you,
Yeah.
they were not a treat for the nostrils.
The story is these were buried. Atari
Yeah.
buried. I don't know if anyone in the audience realizes that. Just for the layman, Atari buried
there's a
these in a
Netflix
landfill. It wasn't in New Mexico, Josh. Is that the state it was buried in?
Yeah, Alamogordo, New Mexico, and it's kind of at the end of Atari's heyday. And the ET, there were more than just ET cartridges buried there, but the ET game was a spectacular failure to them. I think they rushed it to production. The game wasn't very good. They're trying to capitalize, of course, on the enormous success of the movie.
Of course.
But the game didn't really live up to expectations.
No.
It didn't sell very well. And they ended up burying a ton of them. But, of course, it's just funny, nothing stays buried forever. And so many people are more interested in them now that the city of Alamogordo, who owns the landfill, actually is the one who excavated it and sold those off with a certificate of authenticity and a little brass plaque.
Direct from the
And made a
landfill
big
to your
deal out of it.
home.
Wow. Smell
So,
not included.
we-
Oh, smell is included.
Yeah.
Wow.
What's that now?
No, smell is included. Yes.
Yeah. But so very interesting part of history, and I have had a chance to handle and case a few of those. But let me tell you, they do. For a collectible, it's good to go ahead and get it in an acrylic case because they do. You can tell that it did come out of a dump. Yeah. That's
We're going to cover Atari later in the show, but does anyone else have any final?
Well, I mean, what about board
question?
games, for instance? You get a lot of board games. I mean, there's one board game that comes to mind that brings, again, you may not call it stupid money, but I do. When you're paying $1,500 for a board game, that's kind of ridiculous. And one of them is Boris Karloff's Monster Game. And yes, the box looks amazing. I mean, it's a great looking box. And then of course they changed the box up and you came out with Boris Karloff's Thriller Game after he did the TV show. But have you ever seen any board games bringing crazy grading, crazy money, or whatever you want to call it?
Well, we have done some board games. We usually try to stick to our lane, and we deal with board games mainly that are either involved with or part of toy lines that we're most concerned with. Like we do a lot of the Star Wars Kenner board games that they release.
Right.
There's a point where we don't want to get too far out of field. Where we feel like we've got a really strong group of experts on what we mainly are concerned with. Video games, Star Wars figures. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Masters of the Universe, all action figures and lines in general, especially that era.
Right.
Although we do earlier ones too, but the board games, you start to get too far afield of what you know, and you set yourself up for failure. So
Well, that makes sense.
I have seen some great ones, and I love them. My favorite, Chance, your sister used to collect board games, and one thing that I was always surprised she had in her closet was she had a Welcome Back Cotter Up Your Nose with the Rubber Hose game.
That's right. I remember. She loved lunch boxes too. Yeah, board
She had
games.
lunch boxes, and that's another thing where that's like almost a whole nother group
It
of
is.
collectors.
It really
with
is.
a whole
It really
nother
is.
set of interests, So it's almost like we don't really want to go too far afield of what we're really sure we can.
Now, Josh, for say any of our listeners who have a toy, is there a website? Is there an address that they would send the toy in? What's the fee that's involved for me sending in a toy to have graded? Is it a flat fee?
Well, no, there's a sliding scale mainly depending on the quality of acrylic you want, if you want UV acrylic, and also depending on how long you want to return to. You can pay more and get it back to you earlier, or you can pay less. But if you go to cgagrading.com, you can see all that and figure it all out. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like you say, there's different companies that do different products. There's some that do specialize in the lunch boxes and stuff like that, like you said, that's out of your wheelhouse, as again you said. But that's
we like to do what we know we can be sure
that makes sense.
is authentic,
And that makes sense.
So that's there.
Especially when the fans take it out to the pawn shop there in Las Vegas and try to trick Chumley into buying it. Oh, I'm sorry, that's another
Pawn
subject.
Stars, the reality show. And by the way, Josh and his firm was featured on Toy Hunter a few years ago.
Well, that's the show I was talking about.
Yeah.
With the toy hunter.
Right.
That's correct.
Yeah, absolutely. I've met Mr. Jordan Hembrough, who's the toy hunter, and I've got to meet some interesting people through the
I'm sure you
through the
have.
job.
I'm
It's
sure you
been-
have.
But really, more than the people, it's been just seeing like the whole range of toys. Not just, and it's because I have older brothers and younger brothers, so I was pretty familiar from the 12-inch GI Joes all the way down to Transformers, kind of that era. And I've seen all of that stuff, the toys of my childhood and of all of my siblings' childhood, just on the table, 40 hours a week. It's been a really exciting job to have, really interesting.
Hey, Josh, do you remember what the first
Yeah.
Transformer was in terms of a television show? No worries.
There you go.
Space Giants. Rodak, Goldar, Silvar, Gam. We're going to talk about that. They could
Space
transform into
Giants,
rockets, robots into rockets.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I really appreciate your time. I know
Yes,
you
we
work
do.
very hard. You have the coolest job of anyone I know, and I know family time's very important. Please say hey to my handsome nephew
absolutely.
Henry, who just turned 8 on
Woo.
December 23rd,
Yeah, Henry.
and my lovely niece Molly, and my lovely sister Nicole, and even your dog
You got
Ruby,
it.
who was barking in the background. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'd
Hey,
love to have
thank
you on
y'all.
again. We'll probably cover this topic in the future in 2020.
Love to have you.
Okay, well, thanks, y'all. Hey,
Great.
take care.
All
you
right.
too.
Have a great day.
That's
Thanks.
great. That's
All
great.
right, you too. Bye.
Well, I think that people like that are great to have on the show, but I want to see his credentials. No, I'm just kidding.
Not chance.
I'm kidding. He has some great stories.
And a good voice.
Not a very good
Not
voice.
chance. Did Shogun Warriors predate Goldar and Silvar?
No, they did not. The Space Giants began in 1966 in Tokyo.
Excellent.
So no, they were
See, I
literally
probably
the
didn't
first
see-
Transformers.
Yeah. See, I probably didn't see it until it was like on
And-
TBS, like many years.
Yeah,
later.
77 to 81. We talked about that in a previous Podblast. But guys, we're all over the place. Let's get back into order. All right, you guys, you must remember the Slinky.
Yeah, but
I
talking
had
into the
lots of
mic too loud.
Slinkies. Yes,
Slinkies. Do you
Yes.
remember pogo sticks?
yeah, of
I
course.
do. I didn't
I'm
never.
trying to go in some chronological order.
What I
And-
want to do is send Al's Pope in and get it graded because
Hold
just
that up for the
as an
camera. He's got a little
example,
poke.
because we gave his company a big plug.
And you guys, I have to use the head. So you continue. But before I do that, I'm going to hold up some of the graded figures that
Well,
Josh
can't you
gave
wait
me.
till the show's over?
No, I got to go. When you got to go, sir.
Well, he's drunk.
But I'm not drunk. I'm
no,
buzzed.
no.
I'm going to hold up what I mentioned a moment ago, the cool toys that Josh gave me for Christmas. And you guys take it away
That's great.
and talk about, where you going,
I'm
Tom?
gonna beat you.
He's going to the restroom. Well, Danny,
Gosh.
please get back on track. Now let's talk about the 8 tracks. We really got out of order here. I consider your first record album to be a toy. Okay. And you had my sister Nicole had a Donnie Marie record set. It was cool. It wasn't connected to a stereo. It was just a freestanding little turntable. And it was really cool. And I wish she still had it because it's probably worth some money.
I wished I had my first record player.
But you brought some 8-track cassettes, Danny, of Kiss.
Well,
Kiss Comes
okay.
Alive too.
the suck thing about 8 tracks, for those of you who didn't have them, at least on my stereo, there was like 4 chapters, if you will, where you could hit number 2 and it would advance the cassette to a certain spot, because there wasn't like a fast forward button per se. I mean, I think there was, but it took a lot of time. So it was a sort of time saver to go like, okay, hit number 3, and it would advance the tape that point. Now, on a production level, where the music was going, it wasn't timed in sync to where this spot would be. So if it was in the middle of the song where it needed to go from, the chapter 1 to the chapter 2, the chapter 3 to the chapter 4, it would just start to fade the song out. It would switch to the next sort of chapter, number 3, and then slowly fade the song back in. So it was really awful for anybody who's like, appreciates music and wants to hear it in its entirety. Like these things were just like god awful, because once again, you couldn't have it in sync because different songs run different periods of time. So what was much more awesome was the vinyl to play record albums. Now the funny thing was is the first cassette tapes or 8-track tapes my parents got, I got the Best of the Beach Boys, the best of John Denver.
Ooh, John Denver. I love John Denver.
And I got this Kiss Alive too. And I think probably as my parents were at the, record store buying the 8-track tapes and explaining to the salesperson, oh, we're going to buy some stereos for our sons. And it showed up there, with the best of the Beach Boys and the best of the John Denver, that in my mind, some, kid working at the record store was like, oh no.
Yeah.
We've got to do something about that. So included, he added the Kiss Alive 2 and also the Beatles Sgt. Pepper's album.
And these are records.
Well, no, these are 8 tracks. but I have to, like, in my head, I'm like, well done, fictional stereo, record player salesperson in my head. Because I have to think that my parents picked the Beach Boys and the John Denver because they knew that.
Sure they did.
They already knew that I liked the band Kiss. My brother, actually, another interesting story. She has just hold up all this stuff. For Christmas, I was probably about like 7 years old. He got me the Kiss Hotter Than Hell album.
Nice.
And actually, on the back of the album, there's this scantily clad female who's not clad at all on the top.
We need a bigger studio.
And they just put some stars over her pointy bits. And
wow.
So I'm like 7 years old. And, I opened this present up for my brother and my grandparents were there.
You love that album.
Oh, yeah. It's a great album.
Do you still have it?
Yes, I do.
Oh.
I brought it. It's actually it's some.
That's okay. It's
it's actually it's here. Oh, I did think. But I'm not gonna do it. But how you derailed me. So my brother gets me this album. My grandparents are there, and my grandmother's like, oh Danny, show us what your brother got you, and I have to hold this up, and let me get this down. See now Chance is in front of the microphone, or in front of the camera. So you can see there's this naked chick with a star over her pointy bits. Paul Stanley making out with the other chick. Wow. So my grandmother's all like, oh Danny, show us what you got. Give me a second, Chance. Move your thing. So I'm like, yeah, I got this, Grandma. Be careful that this thing is. So she's like, she can't see it from across the room. Like, what's it say? And I'm like, show it on the back. I'm like, it's the Hotter Than Hell album, Grandma. What? It's the Hotter Than Hell album, Grandma. So my parents weren't too pleased. I don't know if my brother did this on accident or on purpose, because he probably got a laugh out of it and be like, yeah, open this up in front of everybody. And so I'd go into my room and the title track of Hotter Than Hell, just because it had a sort of naughty word in there, I'd have the volume down like really, really low. So my mom wouldn't come rushing into my room going like, what are you listening to?
Because you could really get in trouble for that back then.
Well, no, my parents were really cool about that. They never tried to censor. I also did not try to push the envelope. Certainly compared to, music in later years, it wasn't that bad. But I remember listening to the AC/DC Highway to Hell album. And once again, my mom's in the kitchen putting away dishes and Highway to Hell.
She was singing that.
It's a great song, though.
Well, it is a great song. So my mom comes rushing into my room. She's like, what's he saying? I was like,
did you make up new words?
Yeah, no, I should have. It's my way to smell. That's
my way to smell. Yeah, that's better. That's better.
If
only you could have thought of that back then.
Well, I was in my groove. I was
now see back then. Not back then, because back then was I was an adult. But when I was a kid, I had a little 45 RPM player, and it was a Silvertone, Al. And recently, when they did after my brother passed, they renovated some of the house, and they found that record player.
Do you have it now?
No, I don't have it now, but they're
going to save it.
They saved it for me. and it's got I think I drew on it when I was a kid.
Well, Silvertone was so big back in the
it
60s. I mean,
was.
Sears. I mean, I had a Silvertone radio, I had a Silvertone. I had a record player, Silvertone.
Yeah,
record
because
player.
Sears was a big department store back then. It was the Walmart back then, because that's where my father bought the TV.
And I couldn't wait to get their Christmas catalog.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
just
even
everything.
now, here's the funny thing about online. There is the Sears wish book online of all the different years. Al, I don't know if you noticed it.
I like to see that.
It was on Facebook. I'm not sure what it was under now, to be honest with you, but that somebody has digitally captured all the pages, and you click on them, you just swipe through it, you can see all this stuff, and it's very cool to see it again, and not to mention how cheap it was. At least how we think it was cheap, but it really wasn't back then. It was still rather expensive.
And it's really sad what happened to Sears, though. They were just a big staple growing up.
Well, that was just a bunch of, unfortunately, CEOs and people that just mismanaged how they ran their business. I mean, they didn't stay with the times, whereas through the 20s and 30s and 40s they did. But a different management team, they're so worried about engulfing and devouring and selling off this and selling off that, and not using their own brand here and using their own brand there. They lose sight of what they originally had. For instance, Craftsman tools are still being made now. True Value Hardware, or Ace Hardware rather. I'm sorry.
Ace picked them up.
Ace picked them up. And so it's still being made. I think there might even still be a handful of Sears stores out there still open, for all I know. But them and Kmart is another example of how you just mismanage corporately. And guess what? You don't stay with the time. So guess what? The times pass you by, and you go belly up.
Tom,
which is what happens.
With your wider range of knowledge, I mean, didn't Sears Roebuck go back to like a long, like 19 something,
well, 18 something,
or like when you order like guns.
Well, yeah, exactly. You can actually buy houses.
Yeah.
For instance, somebody posted the other day on Facebook, and I knew about this, where you could buy the whole house for $1,024.99, and it was a whole house. Now, granted, you're not that $1,000 didn't pay to have it built, but you
dropped off all the lumber,
you bought all the material,
and
they come and they drop it in your lot, and there you go. And there's actually a Laurel and Hardy, maybe even a Buster Keaton, that does that, where the house is delivered to their site and they try to build it, and it's obviously, because they're famous comedians, they make a mess of it. But back then that was real popular, and Thomas Edison made it, as much as I now don't care for him that much, but that's beside the point.
I'm Team Tesla.
Yeah, well, Tesla's so much better. But to make a long story short, he came up with the concrete prefab house, and there's several of those up north in Jersey still in existence, but they didn't catch on like the Sears prefab houses did. So, although it has nothing to do with toys, but I'm using that to just use it as an example.
Well, you can buy prefab homes now.
Well, sure you can.
J. Walter Homes.
But yes, but the quality they had back then, those homes are still standing, and they're still holding up. They still, because back then the materials were better, and the way they were constructed was better. And now some of the 10 toys that I collect or have collected, even our good buddy Tom Hudgens, he had the Charlie McCarthy car. He had the Amos and Andy stuff, the Amos and Andy toys, the Fresh Air Taxi Cab, and all of that stuff. And he also had the little automatrons. Remember the bartender, Charlie? Charlie, I guess it's Charlie Weaver, based on Charlie Weaver. But he collected all of those too.
I'm sure the Amos and Andy toys don't sell too well because it's probably not politically correct.
Well, it's not politically correct, but they're still very collectible.
Did you ever have a pedal car when you were little? The little.
Yes,
I did. Yeah.
Speaking of cars, I loved Hot Wheels cars, which is a
I
hot
remember
toy.
those. Yeah.
Yeah,
They still make them to this day.
But before Hot Wheels was Matchbox.
Correct.
Which is what I played with. So that's what was popular.
Remember the slot car machine? And
I had
the racetracks,
the
electric racetracks.
Right.
Yeah.
And mine was.
I loved the racetracks. That was so cool.
Exactly. And I can't think.
They were fun.
I had a remote controlled helicopter that was a heck of a,
Wow.
before drones. It was like the pre-drone drone.
Sure. Yeah.
Loved it.
But did it have a camera?
No,
wait.
But it would fly in the air, remote control.
Okay, wait,
I thought it was the neatest thing since sliced
But
bread.
here's the thing. Here's the thing about those. Even those
Where's the
helicopters.
freaking con?
Our good buddy Dave Bell had one. His father used to have a hobby shop that he sold those things, and we went out to shoot it for a commercial for his hobby shop down in Florida, or down in Moultrie, Georgia, pardon me. And I remember we were shooting that, and as soon as that helicopter goes up, you can't see it. I mean, what kind of fun is that? You go, okay, I can't see this, so how is this fun any longer? It's kind of like, okay, but with the drones, at least the drones have a camera on them, and you can see where you're going, and et cetera, which is kind of.
I used to fly kites. I like kites.
Well, kites. I mean, kites is a total man. That's a totally different collectible.
Yeah. Hey Tom,
it's crazy.
They had all kinds of kites. They had box kites.
It's crazy.
I got the conch.
I don't even know what that means.
What does that mean?
Don't you get? Nobody read Lord of the Flies, a classic book of literature.
You know what? I hated that movie.
You never saw the movie?
But yes, we were. I was required reading in elementary
Podblast.
school.
Well, the original movie was in black and white.
Podblast.
Right.
Different Podblast.
Bunch of kids running around in their underwear.
No, but as things got out of control, whoever held the conch got to speak.
Well, I didn't know that.
Well, I have educated you, and I feel my job is complete. Now,
what do you hold up? What do you hold up when you want somebody not to speak? Like,
a big pointy stick.
Okay,
a shattered beer bottle. That'll get you. Wow. Tom was talking about or Chance, I think was talking about helicopters and stuff. Now here's a fun story. Way back, there was something called like a whirlybird or something. And
it was a TV show called The Whirlybirds.
Probably was.
Yes. Remember that, Tom?
Yes. Oh, I don't have the conch. I didn't think I was allowed to speak.
Well, no. You guys interrupt me just as bad as Chance does. So there was this whirlybird thing. It was like a little helicopter that was attached on a wire to a base, and it had a little hook. And you basically could fly this thing in a circle, but you could raise and lower it.
Yeah, it had a handle.
And with its hook, you could pick up roadblocks and do stuff. And my older brother, who was very, very young,
I know where this is going.
Go ahead. My older brother wanted this, and so my mom takes him to the mall to sit on Santa's lap, and and he's finished, and my mom's like, "Oh, what'd you ask Santa for?" And my brother, being very, very young, he couldn't articulate properly like whirlybird, so he's like, "Oh, I want a vertibird," and she's like, "What?" And he's like, "Oh, a vertibird." My mom's like, "What?" And he's like, "It's cool. Santa's gonna bring it to me." So my mom was in a panic, having to go around from toy store to toy store, going, "Do you have a vertibird or verti?" Until finally some clerk got it. It was like, "Oh no, it's the whirlybird or whatever it was called." And so Santa did not disappoint my older brother that Christmas morning.
That's nice.
And he had his little helicopter that flew around in a circle that you could raise and lower.
You know where I thought it was going? It didn't go. It didn't go where I thought it was going, because that thing you spun around and it made it go up and down. You spun around with it. It was only cord, as I recall. And that thing you could go up and it would go up in the air and come down. I thought you were going to say you got in the way of it and you got wrapped around.
Guys, can I interject real quick? All right.
I want to hear about the Death Star.
I just held it up. I have
the
original Death Star PlayStation toy set. Samantha Livingston got this for me back in 1997. It was the nicest birthday present a girl has ever gotten me. And it's fantastic. I have it here sealed in the box. And what's cool about it is anyone that knows Star Wars, there was a big trash compactor scene. And there was a monster that took Luke by the neck and took him down into the sludge. And you never saw what the full monster looked like. Only time you saw it was with this little toy. And I know you have a quick story, a sad story about the Death Star PlayStation. I always wanted that as a kid, but it was very expensive. So please tell us your Death Star PlayStation.
It was a tragic story. I received the Death Star for Christmas, and this was a mega toy. I mean, this thing probably cost like $40 back in the 70s. So it was a major toy. It was a major gift. And as Chance said, there was this trash compactor monster. It's this little green rubber monster. Now, on that same Christmas morning, my mom went out about 4 a.m. and had made arrangements to purchase a little Boston Bulldog, a little Boston Terrier that my father had, one of those breeds when he was young. And so on Christmas morning, there's this little puppy, and my dad's all excited and hails back to his childhood. And it was a great Christmas. And I'm in my room and I'm setting up my amazing Death Star. and I'm putting the stickers on it, and I've got this little rubber green trash compactor monster, and I go get my older brother because I'm gonna come out and see, because like, you know, I've built this thing and put all the stickers on, and by the time I got back in the room, the puppy had found this little rubber trash compactor monster, eating its head off, took big chunks out of its body, and I just cried. I was so upset. And, you know, I think my mom probably said something like, well, you know,
that's just a gift for leaving it around.
Yeah, pretty much. And this turned out to be the best dog ever. Love you, Mitzi, up in doggy heaven.
Sure,
best dog ever. I forgive you for eating my trash compactor monster that I never got to play with.
Well, Danny, you're going to be reunited with it, because look, Facebook Live, here it is with its head intact.
Yes.
After many years.
Yes. Like, yes, she ate it off here. One of these was gone. There was a big hunk. Yeah.
Let me see.
That's the monster from the classic Star Wars Episode 4, 1977, New Hope.
And like Chance,
Sonny, come here.
Scene.
Sonny.
No.
Sonny.
He's in the cage.
Like Chance, that's
Well,
the only.
I'll go give it to
that's
him.
the only time you saw the
full body. Oh God, Tom, he's biting on it. Tom,
I'm just trying to
you're killing me.
I'm trying to recreate Danny's childhood.
His trauma.
Frankenstein says, "Tom, not friend."
So, guys, I thought, you know, we
Well,
would break this down originally.
It is so silly. Like you know, you see this, but it was like, it was important because that was like a cool part of the play set. You know, was this little green monster, and I didn't have the chance to play with it. I was really, really sad. And it was very kind of Chance to reunite me briefly with the trash compactor monster.
Well, you know, back in those days, I know you didn't know this as a child. And it's a shame your parents didn't, but you could have written Kenner or the toy manufacturer and tell them what happened. They 99.9% of the time they would have sent you another one.
Absolutely, Lego did that for me. Lego is one of my favorite
me.
toys, but
You guys are killing me.
Lego did that when I lost an action figure. Like they had hair for a little tiny Lego man, and I lost it.
This does me no good now.
And I wrote them, and they sent it to me. It's pretty
This
cool.
does me no good. I'll remember that next time you guys have like a tragic tale of your youth to tell. I'll be like, hey, you know what you could have done?
Well, we used to take models. I remember as a kid, we used to take models and set them on fire. And what happens is the plastic they were made of just starts dripping.
Yes.
Dripping flames.
I used to blow them up.
That too.
Chance blew up his Millennium Falcon.
Do you remember, Al, did you have, because I remember back in the 60s, they had crash cars. Did you ever have a crash car?
Like the crash
you
derby?
basically put the car, you wind it up, friction wheel, maybe it had friction wheels on it. I think
I'm sure I had one.
And you run it into the wall and it just kind of blows up, but you put it back together. And they were so cool.
Now, Tom, like they might have like repurposed this later, but in the early 70s, they had this thing that was called Crash Up Derby, and it was these cars that had like a zip cord.
Yeah, it's like that.
And so you pull the zip cord and the wheels would turn. Yeah. You know, it was like a threaded cord, but it had parts that were supposed to fly off of it on impact. And so, like, me and my brother, we'd be at like opposite ends of the hallway, and you
try to run each
well, yeah, because you wanted to smash up derby cars.
Of course. Yeah.
Can we talk about cap guns for a second? I got in so much trouble with cap guns growing up.
I had cap guns. I love those things.
Right. I had one that looked like a pistol, and of course they would have like an orange nozzle to designate, hey, everyone, this is just a toy. Well, I would paint that thing black. I got into so much trouble at school, and they were so much fun, though. I loved cap guns.
When we were coming along, me and Al, they didn't have those tips on them.
No, they were just silver. They were just like the Lone Ranger.
I didn't either.
Did yours have? It had like the paper caps, not like the plastic ones.
It was
the
the strip.
Yeah,
It was the strip.
Yeah, I had that too.
It was a roll.
I had like
it was in a roll.
Off red with a little dot.
I had a two-gun kid Western cap gun.
And even had a little compartment that you put the roll in.
I had like
you thread it like a projector. Al, remember that?
I had like the Wes Parker Davy Crockett long rifle that fired that I got at Disney World.
Did you go shoot engines with it?
Disney World?
I love
were you at Fort Wilderness or what? You remember Disney World?
Well, it was like Western Land or Frontier Land is what they call it, because they had like Future World, or they had like the Epcot and all that kind of stuff, and then there was whatever, but
whatever.
Well, no, but like I was like a huge fan of like the Wes Parker Davy Crockett.
Did you have that?
episodes.
Did you have that?
Oh hell yes!
Now, Tom,
I
you,
had
You still have
multiple.
it? You still have it?
No man.
Did you ever have a coon? You ever have a coon skin cap?
Well,
what I
that's
just
what he's
asked.
saying. That's what he's
what I
saying.
just asked.
But like, no, that rabbit fur or whatever it was is long ago.
It was fake anyway.
Tom,
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Danny and I are Generation Xers, but I know with your son Chris, you must have been hip to some of the toys that you bought for him
Of course.
and the trends. So I was going to break this down originally into traditional toys, which we've covered, and electronic toys. Do you remember the Mattel Electronics football game? It was a handheld
Pro
game.
football.
And it was pro. What was the Game Boy? Way
No,
before
it
the
was like
Game
pro,
Boy.
football
Pro
or
football,
something. And
right?
it was
And
a little,
little
red,
red
dot.
dots. But I wish we had the sound effect. Tom didn't bring his laptop today, and that's okay. But it would go when you hit a touchdown. It had great little sound effects. And what about Atari? Man, for us, everything changed when Atari came out.
Yeah.
And do you remember Sears had a knockoff version of Atari, but it was basically the same thing.
And I hate to disagree with like Josh, our caller was talking about Nintendo or whatever, but I'm like, dude,
I think he's talking about value though.
Well, yeah, but you know how many hours I spent playing like Atari Pac-Man?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Pac-Man's making a comeback.
Oh yeah, I
Well,
mean at
it never-
Costco you can get a machine that has
never went away. Really.
30 video games in it and have for some time.
Yeah.
It's great. I think it's
Arcade
cheap.
ones. Arcade ones is what they're called.
That yes sir, and they were like only a couple $100. But so you had the Mattel games, then that Battlestar Galactica Cylon Raider story I talked with Josh about.
Well,
the
that was
rumor,
the firing missile.
it was the spaceship, to clarify, not the Cylon Raider
Well,
robot.
the
it was
wings
the
open.
ship,
The wings open out,
and it would
and you
shoot a
had the-
projectile.
Yeah.
And the little urban legend gentleman, Al and Tom, I know your name.
You had to look at the paper.
No. I was looking at. I was going to say there was. Danny, remember this? There was. Speaking of urban legends, I'm digressing a little bit, but there was a time where we heard that. Remember Space Dust and Pop Rocks? It was a candy you put in your mouth, it would
It's
fizzle.
fun when you give it to a dog.
Yeah, well, there was a rumor. I don't know if it's true or not that some fat kid. No, I'm not fat
No,
shaming.
no.
No.
You can't
Al's giving
say
me a
that.
symbol to rap. Hell no. We're gonna maybe go 2 hours.
No,
We're not going
no,
2
we
hours.
can't go
No.
Anyway, this thing, the story was that someone who was overweight and obese had downed a bunch of soda pop and Pop Rocks at the same time, and he exploded.
See, I heard,
don't know if that's true, but
No,
I believed it when I
I
was a
heard
kid.
that it was the kid that played Mikey in the Life cereal.
He's
It was
still
like-
alive.
Well, I know, but you're saying urban legend. Of course, now years later, I know that's
Well,
not true.
the meaning of like Monty Python that got blew up. Remember? The eating scene.
Oh, Mr. Creosote, we got a nice bite of that
Oh,
now.
Stay away for chocolate for you.
I could possibly blow up.
Oh, good balls. Oh, just one thing.
Oh, no, it's also way off in the man. All right.
And then he blew up. That was a great. Remember that movie? It was a great scene.
I got
I
a
do.
couple sound effects from the Atari video games.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
So advanced.
Oh, it's so awesome.
My favorite though is bowling.
Bowling?
Bowling.
Oh, yeah.
All right, enough. If I could have edited this, I would have gotten the better ones like Pac-Man.
Yeah. Wow.
Does this bring back any memories to you, Danny?
Okay, that's enough. Oh,
All right, we need to. We're going to have to.
No. We still got a little more.
No, wait a minute.
Okay.
You know, don't.
So-
we
so-
need to wrap
so-
things up.
so wrap
We've
it
gone
up.
an hour and a half, so let's wrap
We've
it
done
up.
2 hours before, but okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I was gonna say.
All right, audience, I'm done.
No,
I'm your
I wanna
closet.
play-
I'm your
I want-
resident comic book specialist.
We were talking.
Peace out.
We were talking
Love
about.
ya.
We were talking
Merry
about.
holidays. Happy Kwanzaa.
Festivus.
We were
Festivus
Danny.
for the rest of us. Now it's time for our
No.
airing of grievances,
Right.
which is Al saying we need to shut off the
We need to
podcast.
wrap it up.
Wait. Hang on though. I want to play the whistle from Space Giants that we talked about with Josh. That was the first Transformers. There was a kid named Miko, and he would blow this whistle, and it would signal the robots that would transform into rockets. Do you have that clip? The
Art-
whistle?
Art would sing.
It's like 3 seconds long.
Art would
I
sing
love
at
the
the end of
sound
the
effect
show.
of the whistle, and they made a toy of it.
They made a
whistle?
Toy. They made a toy of that.
They
of
did.
the whistle.
Of the whistle.
Did you have
It was
the
a
toy?
supersonic whistle. No, I always wanted it. They made them in Japan primarily because it was a Japanese show called Magma Tashi.
Well, you could probably get it off eBay
It
you know?
should say whistle.
if you look for it.
It's a cool sound effect.
But if you,
I did record it, but I'm not seeing it.
well, that's okay. We can insert it later. It's not a big deal. We can always insert it
Yes, I
later.
don't see
Do
it.
you know what he's talking about? Do you? Are you familiar with it?
I do, but take it off my
Whistle.
headphones.
It's right there.
Okay.
Oh, here it is. Hold on. This.
Yeah. Here comes the whistle. Isn't that a cool sound?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
now,
it's different.
and now, since we're wrapping it up, there is one more thing about Podblast 13 with Jim Gossett I want to cover.
Go ahead.
One more thing, and we have a little bit of music.
With Jim Gossett.
No, it's
Oh.
just a sound effect for our segment. One more thing. This is cool. Okay, so last time our topic was Saturday Night Live versus SCTV. And SCTV has not aired since the early 80s, but it aired in syndication. Well, on Jeopardy, on Friday, December 29th, 2019, Alex Trebek referenced that SCTV and said it's his favorite parody of Jeopardy, better than Saturday Night Live. It totally ties into what we talked about last time 2 weeks ago. And I have a brief clip of Alex talking about SCTV.
Jameson Webb is an actor and writer from Santa Monica. You are an alum of the Second City group.
That's right.
And people often ask me how I feel about the Saturday Night Live takeoffs on Jeopardy. But I maintain that the best takeoffs of me as a game show host were done on Second City. Do you remember those?
No. Oh, SCTV. Yeah,
Yeah.
with what was it, Dumbwits or Nimwits, or what was it with Martin Short?
Halfwits.
Then am I way
We
off?
played
No,
Halfwits.
Martin Short and Eugene Levy
Yeah.
playing me. He had the dark hair, the mustache, and everything. Those were fun times.
Those were great. Great.
Were
times.
you working? Where were you working? In
I
Chicago?
was in Chicago on the main stage for a couple of years, and got to do the shows there. It was a dream come true.
Okay, good for you.
So drop the mic. That's a drop the mic moment. We asked what's better, SCTV or SNL? I contend, and Tom did, that SCTV was better in terms of parodies,
Yeah.
and Alex Trebek just second that notion.
So who was he talking? Who was he talking to?
The contestant.
Okay,
The contestant was in
okay.
Second City Troupe in Chicago, not the
Gotcha,
Canadian version.
gotcha. So that's why. It was
So
brought
there's a
up.
lot of toys we probably didn't cover. We'll cover it again in the near future.
Well, we never get to cover everything. we
No,
always
I mean,
want
there's
to
so
talk
much I
about.
wanted to. I mean, but the board games alone, my gosh, Connect 4,
Oh,
pretty sneaky. Sis,
Twister,
in the commercial.
Tippet. I mean, there's so
And
very many.
And the beautiful thing about board games is it's face-to-face interaction. It's not like sitting on your phone playing Angry Birds.
Right, correct.
And it's great for families. Monopoly.
That way you can get mad at your
We'll just do a
sister or
separate
her.
pod blast on board games. What do you think?
I think we do.
In the near
I think we
future.
do.
But guys, it's been great. I'm sorry that we left so many wonderful toys out.
Well,
like
we
the
can't
Rubik's
cover everything.
Cube.
We
My
got
gosh, the
one.
Rubik's Cube.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Did you have a Rubik's Cube out?
I did. I still have one.
But now they make one that automatically solves itself. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
No, what are you saying? It makes it.
Yeah, so
It solves
it'll
itself?
Solve itself. If you hold it, it goes. Blah, 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 it just spins around until it solves itself.
Remember
Yeah.
Battleship? You sank my battleship.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
And
board
before we
games.
leave, I want to thank Tom. He gave me an Echo Dot
For Christmas.
for Christmas. Look at that.
Last year.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Tom. Well, listen, it's been fun. We need to go, and it's been fun. I love seeing all these toys here today.
Yeah, it's great. It's
You know,
great.
really good. You gonna leave some of them here?
Sure, I'll leave some. What do you want?
Uh,
And let's give a shout out to Barbie. We didn't mean to exclude the girls. I was glad that we had a caller.
Becca.
yeah, Becca.
We had
Becca.
Rebecca on, and
Becca.
I'm glad we represented the ladies out there in our audience.
It's like smart.
But Barbie's got to be the greatest girl
Oh,
toy
yeah.
of all
Well,
time,
well,
wouldn't you say?
it's the most profit-making toy Mattel probably ever made.
Yeah.
And she talked about the light bright, which is like a light-gasm, I call it, of light and
And the
color.
Cabbage Patch Kids.
That's right, the Cabbage
Yeah.
Patch. Well, it's been fun,
All right.
guys. We'll do another Pod Blast on toys.
All right.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
And
Thanks
Happy
for
New
watching
Year. Happy New Year.
Facebook Live Land. Happy 2020, everyone.
And until next time.
How long do we go?
I'll put the Susan in. Next, we went an hour and 34 minutes and 23 seconds.
What did you think, guys? I think we should have gone 2 hours, but
That's good. It
You
was
know.
good.
Did you like it?
People tune out. You know, you can't.
yeah, but see, you can pause it. I disagree. That's a fundamental disagreement we'll always have, but
Well, people
I'm not
listen-
going to argue
they-
with you because
People, I mean, when they listen to a podcast, I don't like to split up a podcast. You know, I like to listen to the whole thing.
that's you, but that's not everybody. But I understand your point. And then there was another thing one time we'll talk about. Remember, you probably don't remember this, unless you got it for Christopher. It was a track tank, and it had